It's been very hot lately. The sun has been scorching. I will not call it shining. This year, we only had a week of proper rain. Everything else was just prediction of rain, cold weather, dark clouds, strong winds, and hot days. When it becomes very hot, we know rain is coming, but we are still waiting. We are afraid the crops will fail again like they failed during the very cold season. Only the tomatoes did well. I don't usually wake up early. I am not a morning person. I wake up mid-morning and do my chores in the afternoon. It is not very easy to work when the days are hot. We just want to sit under the shade doing nothing or sleep until evening when the sun starts setting. The sun is setting now. Time for supper is approaching. I must tidy up the kitchen. We had the fence trimmed the other day, but the person did not turn up the following day to clear the compound, so I decided to do it. It is not very difficult because unlike the larger part of the fence, that is sky apple, we have lantana on this side. The Kai apple tree is a home of many crawling insects because of the continuous fresh leaves and the foliage on the ground near the fence that is good for breeding. When we first moved here, there were a lot of crawling insects around, even in the house. As I was doing research on how to get rid of them, birds were among the methods used. I did not believe this, so I continued to get rid of them by hand. I also thought it would take a very long time. One day, as I was washing the utensils, I saw the birds feeding off pieces of food from the compost. Before this, I had not had any interest in birds at all, but on this day, I thought it was beautiful and we decided to film them. To get more videos, we decided to start feeding the birds. We started feeding them with what was available at the time: whole wheat flour and maize flour. We noticed that only the small birds, that is the firefinch and cordon bleu, enjoyed eating the uncooked food. During this time, we realized the birds are clever animals, not as we have been brought up to think. As you will see, the birds will always know when there is danger. So when someone insults you that you have a bad brain, just keep in mind that it is not so bad. The bigger birds, the weaver bird and bulbul, enjoy eating cooked food. We feed them cooked rice and maize meal, commonly known as ugali. At least that is what we started with. One day we woke up to find that some of the cherry tomatoes in the garden had been eaten. We thought if we gave them that, it would add a variety of food to their meal. But you will notice it is untouched. Maybe there is another species that eats the fruit. I wonder if this is because it tastes better when it is on the plant, or it is because there was other food. We learned that placing food on a container and building a structure several feet from the ground prevents disease and reduces the risk of being caught by the cats. Eventually, the birds got rid of the insects. We still continue to feed them though. They are beautiful company. Alexander Jack is very playful and loves to hunt for small animals, even the birds. Alexander also wants to eat the bird's cooked food. He tries to jump onto the bird structure every time he's around. Carmelita just loves to eat and stare. You will see it feeding on fried eggs mixed with Lake Victoria sardines, commonly known as omena. After eating, she goes away. Sometimes to keep her here, we delay the mealtime as much as possible. As I previously said, even with all this, our lives are not without adventure. Today we will show you what happens when we visit Mbagathi and Chania River.
How did I discover River Mbagathi? I really did discover it recently. I have actually known River Mbagathi way before I thought of it as a fishing spot. I think it was in 2007 when I went to visit my aunt in Gong that I saw it on the roadside, and around that time I was interested in all the rivers in Nairobi, so I looked at it and I marked it. So much later, around 2017, 2018, I think, I decided to go and find out if there was fish there. Yeah, that's how I discovered Mbagathi.
In Mbagathi, we used maize and crayfish as bait, and in Chania Falls, we used worms. Using crayfish as bait, I catch another crayfish.
Crayfish can be used as bait, and how does one do that? It depends on the size of the hook and the size of the crayfish. If you want to do microfishing like I normally do, and you have a big crayfish, just cut the tail off, remove the hard shell, and use the white flesh inside. The white flesh, you can cut it into little pieces and just place it on the hook. But if you want to catch big fish, you take a small crayfish, depending on the size of hook, and then you put the whole crayfish on the hook. Some fish have big mouths like bass, and some have small mouths. There are certain barbs like the barbs of Chania that don't seem to like crayfish. I don't know why. Maybe they haven't had a taste of it yet.
On the other side of the road, still in Mbagathi, Ken catches two barbs on camera.
When I was fishing in Ate Springs, Upper Mbagathi, near Karen, I found these kids fishing as well. Upper Mbagathi has a lot of shambas or plantations where we have maize, cabbages and stuff. So these kids used maize to catch fish, soft maize, soft corn, and it was really working well. And I think it's because corn is white and is very visible and probably tasty to the fish. So I decided to use it again lower towards the bridge where Mbagathi crosses Gongo. So I went to that place, and it's a very beautiful looking area, and the water was clear at that time. I used the maize and it worked only once. I couldn't get the fish to bite it again, so I just switched to worms. Worms seem to work well as bait, better than most of the other alternatives, because I get bites almost immediately the bait goes into the water, and it gets me more variety too. I get catfish, barbs, cichlids, tilapia and such. On this particular day that I used maize, and both maize and worms, it was around rainy season. You can see it's kind of green, And the crazy thing about Mbagathi River is that when it rains, the water doesn't turn cloudy or muddy. I mean, it's kind of clear, not the clearest, but it's clearer than most rivers I see during the rainy season. If it rains and it turns brown, it's always temporary. After a short while, like minutes, all the brown water gets washed away. I went fishing with my family in Chania for the first time. Unfortunately, the water levels were high and muddy. It didn't look like the fish were interested in biting, so we spent most of the time just admiring our surroundings. But Tracy was lucky enough to land a really good sized barb, and that proved that there was probably fish, only that they couldn't find bait.
Many times I miss to record the fish being caught because I switch off the camera and also start fishing. I'm afraid of heights and water, but on this day I managed to go all the way down to the river. I even dip my legs in the water. Most fish do not bite humans, but I'm yet to gather the courage to hold them.
Sometimes when I fish in Chania River, I climb the rock and go towards the waterfall where there's a cave. On this particular day, Chania River was flooded, so it was a bit difficult going all the way up to the cave. So I stayed somewhere in between this safe spot and the caves. I was on the rocks trying to get a bite in the holes in between the rocks. There was nothing really. I didn't get a bite or even a hint of a bite on this particular day, but I feel like if I knew what I know right now, I probably would have found something. And remember, the water was not clear, so it's hard to tell where the fish are. Sometimes Chania gets clear and you can clearly see where the fish hide, and you can even see which size to aim for. You can clearly see the biggest fish in the group swimming without a care in the world, and that probably gives you an idea of what exists out there in the water.
You will notice that my voice is not very clear in Chania Falls because I have a very bad cold. I also have a slight headache on this day, but I go for the adventure because I think it will make me feel better. I think it does. The tomatoes you saw earlier in the video have many dark marks. We threw almost half of the harvest away because of the bosom end rot. There was so much ash in the soil because a lot of trash had been burnt on the part of the garden before we moved here. The second harvest, as you will see at the end of this video, was good. The sweet small bananas have suffered too, but it gets better every day. Yeah.
So, the trick ni kuweka hii nyama ya white without the hard part.
Yeah. Alafu iko soft.
All of them are barbs. Let's see what you have said to. And then so
Kule kwa falls hakuna saa kutakuwa clear.
Tunakuwa clear saa nyingine kama last time.
Unaona hizi rocks zote.
Thank you for not going into the water without me.
Hiyo weight inafanya mtu afikiria Tracy ameshika.
Hey, si umeivuta.
Ilikuwa mzito.
Are you seeing the white stuff?
No.
I was telling you. Ah.
What is hiyo inaacha kwa mkono?
Okay, sawa.
That was a
Tracy
very
ashiki.
heavy one. I'm just glad
Tracy
that
ashiki.
nimeshika.
Nini imeenda? When today you are so unlucky, how? Oh, that's time. Again. Hiyo uzi si mzuri.
Supposed to be the hardest.
Imezeeka.
I have to tie this again.
Ati? Kurusha. Wacha nikuje kuonyesha.
Ingisha mguu yako hapa ndani. Niliweka hakuna kitu. Niende nikae pale katikati. Amefika. Ingekuwa ingefika hivyo. Hizi fish za huku zimeambia kienda na huko chini. Shume.
The things I place here and there in the open fire kitchen, like the 1970s sugar dish, 1980s baskets, and 90s pestle and mortar, I do not necessarily use them or cook them. I place them there to make the kitchen more interesting and alive. It is good to dream, because when you have dreams, it means there is hope. Hope is what keeps us going. Sometimes you may feel like your dream will never come true, but they do, if you meditate, pray, and focus on them coming true. I tell you this because it has happened to me, and I hope that most of you who wish that in the future you will live a peaceful life, your dreams will come true and your prayer will be answered.